to the fourth official episode of Mental Check. The person I got on the set today has been one of my boys for the last couple years now, for real. Great dude, funny dude, and I'm just excited to hear what he has to say today. So without further ado, Jalen Paschal.
Oh man,
What
my
it
man. What's going on?
Right now we're out in DC doing a little
DC.
reunion with all the boys getting together. So also good to chop it up on this real quick. So kind of jumping right into it, Jalen.
Yes, sir.
I know you. I see about you. But kind of go into your upbringing, man. Like who made you who you are today, all that.
All right,
Teach you something.
my man. I would say I was raised in Florida. I wasn't born in Florida. I was born actually in California. My dad was stationed at Travis Air Force Base. And after Travis, we went to Vegas, and he got out in Vegas. My mom and my dad both met in southern Georgia. So we moved back down south, and after my dad got his job with the government again, they brought us back to Jacksonville. So was raised in Jacksonville pretty much my whole life. Dirty Duval, Jackson Crash, but hey, those are my boys. Yeah, went through high school. My parents got us in a solid neighborhood, good education system. After high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I wanted to enlist actually. But my dad went the enlisted track, and he's like, "Listen, like you have a good head on your shoulders. We're gonna send you off to college." Went out to college, University of Central Florida. Did the gig out there, did ROTC. Actually, one of the things naturally in the African American community, your parents kind of guide you to what they're gonna do. So they were like, "You're gonna go into nursing." Like male nurses, they're gonna make money because my parents, they were all the way my parents were raised. They didn't have much money growing up, so naturally, they're just like, "We don't want you to be like us." So in their eyes, they were like doing me a favor by telling me what to do. Yeah, exactly. So they're just like, "We want you to have money, so you're gonna go into nursing." So naturally, just we talked about it the other day. Parents' authority figure, especially in the deep south. So I'm like, I'm gonna do nursing naturally. So I went to college, did nursing, went through 2 years of that, got accepted into nursing school. And then I was ROTC route. I know I went to get my commission. And then I remember I was in like when I was there, like I heard about this pilot stuff, but just because of movies and everything, you think like they're like the elite of the elite. Like you have to be top dog to get it. And I remember I was in college. I was seeing all these average kids. I was seeing all these average kids get it. Like at the end of the day, and I'm just like I'm like comparing grades. I'm like, I can do that. Like these dudes are like sociology majors, like just the most random majors, and they're getting it, and I'm over here trying to grind away at nursing. So then that was when I started to kind of find myself. I'm just like, this is what I want to do? Is this what my parents want me to do? I found out like I'm gonna make a shot for this. I had denied my nursing school entry, and I actually switched majors to criminal justice just to get my degree. Got picked up, and
that's what I'm touching next. That's like a pretty big, like just life has changed just to make like as a conscious feeling and whatnot. Like, was there anyone that like you talked to that kind of like was like, okay, like yeah, this is what I want to do?
Yes, there was actually somebody. He was a chemist. He was a chemist major, and he was like the same idea. He wanted to go be a doctor. He wanted to be a doctor, so he became a chemistry major. And same thing, he thought like pilots were like the elite of the elite. And he showed up, and this guy was maybe 4 years removed from me, so I was seeing the trail that he like burned in the same situation, but he was way too deep in it. He was at that point. They're like, you can't, like you're deep in chemistry. Yeah, and chemistry, you get into some solid deep classes. It's like you're way too deep to try to just get out and pursue something that like you can do this with a chemistry degree. It's just going to be harder.
Yeah.
And he ended up not getting it because of his grades. His grades in chemistry are not going to be that competitive. So I was talking to him about it, and he pretty much said like, I don't want you to make the same mistakes I did. Like, don't get too deep in it. I know they're saying you can apply as a nurse, but you can't. So, I really went back and forth. I talked to my parents about it naturally, and at first, like, we're gonna be kind of straightforward here. My parents were like, "Are you sure you can do that?" Like, same thing. Like, they thought it was an elite of the elite. They believed in me, but they're like, "You're kind of giving up all that kind of raised you to be, when your parents want you to be something and you're like ready to go against it when you're like that close to finishing, of course, naturally they're like,
It's the restart, right?
yeah, they're just
It's
like,
the idea of going from almost being there to okay, now it's completely
yeah,
restart.
they're like,
Yeah.
whoa, easy, man. Like,
Yeah,
you're almost there. You want to stop?
yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I think I want to stop. I'm gonna go after this pilot thing. And they were disappointed, but they were supportive. They were disappointed, but they were supportive. They're like, all right, you're a man. You if you want to do this, you want to do this. Talk to the counselors. Counselors kind of said the same thing, but they understood. And my commander, naturally, what is the Air Force kind of here to do? They're here to pop up pilots.
Mhm.
So the dude was, yeah, absolutely, like, yeah, we'll get you that. So yeah, it was big, but I had enough drive in me that looking back, I kind of cringe at that. I'm like, I really kind of threw away a lot.
Yeah.
So, but it worked out in the end. So
Hey, sometimes you gotta trust yourself.
yeah, it was
Like,
at the end of the day, it was more so like everybody was freaking out around me.
Mhm.
But like I said, I was seeing these kids, and to be all honest, I was like, I'm better than these dudes. Like,
Sure.
like I can be better than these dudes. I just need to switch majors. So I believed in myself so much that it didn't bother me. But looking back, I was like, man, like I was kind of right there, and I just like gave all that up to chase a dream that wasn't even promised
Yeah.
at that point.
No, that's nice. Do you think you had anything anything earlier on in life that kind of gave you just the confidence to be like, yeah, I could do that. Like, because
Oh,
I think that's a big step just to be like, yeah, I'm that dude.
so
I
it's
got that. Like,
I was not raised confident. I was not raised a confident kid. My parents, like they never really, like I played sports, but they never really hound on me about sports. I did it for fun. Um, I don't know. It's just like it was just like an internal factor. My mom always said, if you're gonna do something, do it all the way.
absolutely.
So and it correlated into just like schoolwork, getting good grades.
Sure.
And it's one of those things where if I put my mind to something, like I will get it done, because that's what they always just force on me. If you put your mind to anything, you're gonna get it done. So I knew I was doing good in nursing school. I knew anything I did in college, I put my mind to it. Like there was a job at the school's gym. Everybody like wants that job. You're working at the gym. It's just very centralized. You meet a lot of people, and it was like super hard to get there. And I was like, "Oh, students can work there?" And they're like, "Yeah, but it's super hard." And I'm like, "I'm applying. I'm gonna get it." And then I got in, and then I like rose the rank to the top position when I was a junior. So I was running the gym. I was running like EMS calls, and it was one of those things where it's like I just said, "I'm gonna do it."
It's
I'm gonna do it. I'm
like
like, did
the
it.
challenge or whatever for you. Right? Like you see the big challenge, go after it. No, that's what's up, man. But picking up, so
Blind ignorance at the end of the day.
yeah.
It's gonna find me one day, but not now.
All right, so now that we know all about you, we kind of brought you here today, man. Kind of want you to go into your lowest point in life and just describing this. Just it's like this is the hardest time you had to go through. You're still going through it. How are you coping with that? And if you overcame it, how'd you overcome it?
No, absolutely. The lowest times, man. Honestly, you guys were kind of there to witness it. You weren't there. You were away. You actually graduated at that point. Gotta talk about something I hate talking about. I had a girl at that time. I was dating her for about 3 years. It was the typical college. Just like she stayed down there. I went away for training. We're like, we're gonna make it work. It's fine. And going through pilot training, it's one of the harder tests. They consider it the Air Force test. You got to become a pilot. So I was very tapped in. I was very tapped in on training, and as you know, wake up, fly, get back to your dorm, study, go to sleep, get ready for the next day for pretty much 365.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I couldn't really maintain a solid relationship in that time. But it was kind of like we talked about. It was, hey, give me 1 year. I need to grind it out, and we'll make it happen. She was on board. She let me chase my dreams, and I remember we were in smack dab in the middle of training. I was getting ready to finish phase 3, which it's the last phase before you can actually get your wings. And out of nowhere, it was just like a random Sunday. Same thing. I'm cooking. I got my note cards, flashcards. We're FaceTiming. But I was like in the zone where like we just kind of FaceTime, but I was like doing my own thing. I was like, hey, I'm gonna hang up. I'm gonna go take a shower. I went to go take a shower and went to my phone. And like a fat breakup message out of nowhere. So of course, naturally, it went into a text. Yeah, man. And of course, I called her and I was just like, yo, what? And I remember to this day, she said something that just like rattled me. Because at that point, it's 3 years. I really thought I was like, after I graduate, I'm gonna propose naturally. She stuck with me. She said, "I don't want you anymore."
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. Like being like, "I don't want you anymore." What do you do that? Like you do that for like tangible things.
Yeah, like
You use something up and
bad habits.
yeah, exactly. You do that for tangible things. You're like rocking a GameCube when you're growing up. Then the PS4 comes out. And you're just like, I don't want you anymore.
Yeah.
Like what? I'm gonna get the PS4. Like, I don't want you anymore. And I've never felt like I felt like a tangible item. It was just like, I don't know, those words still haunt me kind of to this day.
Yeah.
I don't want you anymore. I hope I never have to feel that again. Because I didn't feel human. I felt like, I don't know, I felt like a product.
Yeah.
It was finished.
It's kind of like pinpointing that. Like, was it the rejection of it? Like, was it the, I guess, betrayal? Like, anger? For sure. Like, what do you think? Like the root of it?
It was, I would say more betrayal, and selfishly, I would say it was betrayal, but also right now, like really right now.
Yeah.
It's like we are at the school where you have to perform. You have to wake up every day and you have to get it. And when you get rattled that hard, I just couldn't perform anymore. It's just like I was upset, and it was the betrayal in right now, because everything that I worked for, everything that I strived to get, I was ready to get derailed. I was doing pretty solid. But I could feel like in my soul, I never thought about quitting until that happened. I was such in panic mode right at that point. I couldn't see through when something like that happens, you don't take a step back and look at the situation. I was just such in panic mode to try to save that relationship, when at that point, looking back, I was like, yeah, that was dead in the water. But I was like, I'll get out. I'll stop doing this. I will quit right now just to like make this relationship work. And I remember she's just like, no, like, I don't want that. She's like, I just don't want you anymore. And like, I just couldn't understand, like, what do you mean you don't want me? So that's the betrayal part. And that was where, going into your next question, that was where the darkness really began. Where we were stationed, it was middle of nowhere, Texas, down in the valley, 2.5 hours away from absolutely any.
5 minutes from Mexico.
5 minutes from Mexico.
Couldn't go.
Could not go at all. So when you're just stuck in that environment, and my ex, she was still living in a major city at that point, the city that we met at. And so naturally, when you go through breakup, you have like all the distractions around. You can go out with your friends, you can go to happy hour,
Yeah.
you can, that night, you can hit the bars and just be like, we're going to forget him, we're going to go out, we're going to have a great time. Us, like, it's like, I mean, you take off tomorrow at like 2 o'clock, man. Like, you're going to be good. And I remember I called my leadership, same thing, again, government training. Called my leadership, I told them, I mean, what feels like monumentous for you, looking back, I came up to my flight command, I was like, my girlfriend just broke up with me. I don't think I can do it. And I remember there was another major there at the time, and he was like, hey man, that's tough. It happens to the best of us. And then that was where I started looking back, started researching. I'm just like, man, like the divorce rate for pilots is like kind of high because you're just like never there.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was the base root of what happened with the relationship I was in. I wasn't there. I was away at training. I was away for a year. And in that time, I'm like, what am I signing myself up for? We talked about it. We're family men. We want to grow a strong family. We want to raise kids. We want to have a beautiful wife. We want to be there for our kids. And I was like, I was so tapped in with just becoming that top dog, so tapped in with, I'm here, I got to perform. This is what I want. And I actually started questioning, like, is this kind of what my life is going to entail? That this is what my life is going to entail. I don't think I want it anymore.
Yeah.
So all that drive that woke me up at 3 a.m. to go through the day and study at the end of the day with that, all of that just kind of vanished. And I felt like I just didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And in a situation like we were at, that's like your golden ticket to being done.
Yeah, just to kind of tap in a little bit more of that. So pilot training is just a time where like, you kind of have to dedicate yourself to it. And it's like, if you have a person out there like in a relationship and they're there physically with you, it's much easier to give them your piece of yourself. Like when you get home late that night, but doing long distance relationship, which you were and I did myself, and we did as well. Like it's just not possible to give your best piece of yourself during that long distance relationship, and it does take a sacrifice on the other person's part in order to do it, and they have to be good with that. And so, but that is also like kind of your escape during that time too. So I'm guessing for you, like losing that during a time where it's like I have to be completely locked in, but now I have no outlet to this. And also, like, I'm sure your plans for the proposal afterwards and everything. Like, now it's like, there's uncertainty now. Like, what am I going to, not only like, what's going on right now, but what's going to happen later? And so it's like, you want me to focus on this ride right now where my whole life feel like it just shifted. Yeah, it's like, keep rolling. Keep rolling.
Hey man, that's tough.
Yeah, like, and
so like you good to come in tomorrow?
Yeah, exactly. So like, are we still gonna fly? Are we still gonna do this? And it's like my just got locked. Like, can I pause? It's like, no, I can't. No, so that's I don't know. I feel you on that, man. So, how did you overcome this point?
Man, honestly, one of the best situations, and I really think it was a blessing. It was a huge blessing. Was the command didn't care, but the line from bridging the gap from students to command is our flight commander. He's your go-to for everything. One day he just finally asked, he's like, hey man, you okay? And I was just, man, I was straight honest with him. I was like, hey man, this is what happened. Like you said, giant shift. Like my girl just left me. And again, this guy is our grader. And especially in phase 3, like the last phase, he has final say of like where you go.
Yep.
So naturally, like I tried to maintain myself. I didn't want to show weakness because gamesmanship. Naturally, you don't want to seem weak. But that was where I had to break down and tell him, like, hey man, I'm not in a good headspace right now. And if I stay on this trajectory, I think I'm gonna quit. I just don't think I can do this. And I told him about the situation. And after all that, I was like, well, there goes my ranking. Like he's like, all right, man, this dude can't hold himself. This dude can't compose himself. And blessing to this day, he said, hey man, I'm gonna get you off the schedule for the next week. Go home. And I was like, oh sir, I don't want you to feel like I can't handle it because I can. He'll stop. He's like, you don't have to sit there and try to impress me. He's like, your life, like you said, he's like, your life went through a giant change. And I told him how nobody cared. Mm-hmm. He's like, your life went through a giant change. And the problem is so many people have gone through that. And just because of like battle scars, they will just say you'll get over it. It's
Yeah.
fine. It's going to sting for a little bit.
Yeah.
However, that is so toxic, and that's not the way to go about it. He was like, you need to go. You need to heal yourself. So go home. Like, just cause. We're gonna pause you. Just go home for a week. Just be with your family. And like my family knew everything that was going on. I felt the vibes that they knew I was kind of on a limb. And my mom was super intact with me. She was, she was talking to me about the relationship. And again, father figures. We talked about this the other day. Father figures, they're authoritative. So naturally, he knew I was going through it, but also he was just kind of the guiding rail. He would just call me and just be like, "Hey man, make sure you're good. Make sure you're going through the day. Okay, what do you got tomorrow? All right, cool, man. Attack tomorrow. You'll be fine." So that's just what I needed. I need to go home, and luckily, my sister was there, my mom was there, my pops was there, and just being at home. It being at home we didn't talk too much of the subject, but just being around loved ones again, just being grounded in my situation. I was just able to pause. Yeah. That was the biggest thing. Just I was able to pause and just reset. Yeah. So that is honestly what I needed. You know, after the week, my flight commander called me. He's like, "Hey man, I see you're coming back home from leave tomorrow. Are you good? Do we need to extend it?" And at that point, like I felt like if I was redlining, I was able to bring it down just enough to be like, yes, I can thug it out. At that point, I knew somebody was on my side. I felt like I wasn't going through this by myself anymore. You have my friends, of course. You guys were very supportive, but just in work sense,
Yeah.
I knew I had somebody on my side.
So I think that's super interesting. Like when we go through hard times like that, like why we come so close to that like red line point is that we're doing, we're going, we're going.
Yeah.
And like that pause, like it gave your feelings a chance to catch up with everything that had happened.
I was able to finally catch up. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
And whether it was like feeling bad and feeling loved, it was like getting all of that had just been on the back burner, however long that time had been.
Mhm.
It was like now it's caught up, and now I kind of feel like where it's like I was trying so hard to reason myself through this, but I can't because I got so much other things to
Yeah.
feel, but these feelings are just everywhere now. Now, coming off the lowest point now, we're going to go into Jalen's 2020 mental check video where he talks about some of the things that he had to go through in 2020, weaknesses, and how to overcame them. So, see what you said, see where he's at now.
The thing that I really had to face was just throughout the years going up to 2020, I felt like I always had a crew behind me, Everywhere I went, I had a group of friends. I was just a social butterfly. I'd always be doing something. Like that is something that I never had a problem with, was being social and having friends. And it was honestly the first time that I feel like I really felt alone. It was with everything up to this duty station, you're always forced to be friends with people. Back in pilot training, you were forced to be friends with somebody in your class, or back in college, you would just meet friends based off the sports you played. But when I moved out here to Florida, I knew nobody, and not only did I not know anybody, it was kind of like, man, like I don't know how to make friends or anything like that. So one of the biggest, I would say the big thing was I felt alone, and how I overcame that is I had to realize that it's okay to feel alone. I already had my friends. I don't need friends wherever I went to. Like my friends, we all got scattered after our time in Texas, and I just can't replace them. It's an impossible friendship that I've made to replace. So one thing that, as much as I felt alone, I wasn't alone. We have technology, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have social media. And moving away from the social media, because that can bog you down, that's a whole different beast in itself. It can completely bog you down. Just having cell phones, it would be just days that I would just, if I'm feeling alone, I would just pick up the phone and I just call somebody and I just be like, hey. And it's so weird to think about, but nobody really does that anymore.
All right. So before we go to the video, the first thing I want to say is tell you about Jalen. So I just have everyone make this video, right? Jalen is the only person that puts on background music while the video is going. This man has a full just background setting the scene. Like, I appreciate the dramatic full background music going. It hyped up. I love the energy.
Hey, listen, I'm weird in front of a camera, man. Sorry, you throw me in front of a camera. This is me in my apartment by myself. Just the AC humming. I'm trying to talk. I'm getting in my own head, man. I can't do this. I can't do this. I had to throw on some music. And yeah.
So go into your video. So one of the things I want to talk about is that
I didn't get a haircut yet.
you're so one of the things I know is friendships and like how friendships, you know, they are just are like very like it was weird for you because it was your first time kind of being alone, right?
Yeah.
And you're in Florida, and you said that you're kind of having a harder time making friends, which is like, you know, I know you people know you're like, oh, you're a social buddy. What do you mean hard making friends? It's like not necessarily like hard talking, but hard to make friends.
Right.
So like, what is that? It's kind of a marker of friend to you. Like, what do you mean like hard to make? Not hard to make friends, but like, what's a friend to you?
So a friend is, you have acquaintances. We were talking about this the other day. You have acquaintances of like people you know. You have familiar faces saying what's up. They might be going out to lunch. It's like, hey, you want to come along? You're just like, yeah, absolutely. Friendships it goes deeper than that. Friendships is somebody you can actually, I'm talking, you have to rely on. Those are your guys. If something goes down, your friends are going to be there. And from that, where I was at in that video, that was the first time that I wasn't forced to be around people. College, naturally, forced to be around people. Teammates, your roommates, your dorm mates, person on the street. You're always seeing somebody, or your coworkers. You know, moving over to pilot training, your flight mates, you meet other pilots who you just tap in with super well over there. You all became friends. That's where I met you guys. That's where like my core group of friends came in. And then I moved out to Florida, first duty station. There's actually like weekends that I just sat by myself in my apartment. I was like, yeah. I was just like, I don't know anybody. And everybody's just like, man, you're in testing. Like, you need to go out and do something. I'm like, who? With who?
That's facts.
They're just like, there's other people. And that was where I was truly like, how do you make friends? And I think like our civilian counterparts feel like they're really complaining about that. But like it's just one of those things where like you're forced to have friends. And that was the first time, and I was like, how do I do this friend thing?
So you talked about one thing you just said a friend is someone that you can rely on.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, because I feel like that joke was super profound, but I feel like it might be missed. It's like you know someone like is a friend, not through the easy times,
Yeah.
but through the hard times.
Yeah.
Like like a lot of times when we meet, so we were like, yeah, like that's my friend that term we thrown around super loosely, but it's like, yeah, how would you even know it unless you went through something with that person? And so I feel like, you know, just as you're talking about like being able to classify like these are my friends, like these are my acquaintances, these are my coworkers, these are my like top dogs, whatever. It's just like that's super important, not only for just a relationship piece, but just for like our own mental space. So I think that's
Absolutely, man.
Absolutely. Another thing that you kind of hit on in the video was social media, big hot topic like now. So it's like,
Absolutely.
you said social media is a great tool, technology, talking to friends and whatnot, but can also bog you down.
Yeah.
Do you think like that's the catch-22 of social media, or kind of what's your whole take on it?
Yeah, man. It's I remember it was a perfect kind of example. My birthday was not too long ago, and hey, social media, everybody's calling you. Everybody, no, not calling you. Everybody is posting on your wall like HBD or like Happy Birthday, and it's just like if in the sense of social media, you're like, oh, like they're telling me Happy Birthday, but then it is the person who you called. You're like, hey man, it's your birthday, and it's like it made it more personal, and I feel like that's kind of the problem with social media is we take out kind of the extra steps that is well appreciated.
Yeah.
You know, you actually called and you're like, hey man, how you doing? It's your birthday.
Yeah.
Instead of just like posting on my wall saying happy birthday.
Or with just getting on the flight or something too. I remember the
Yeah.
yeah.
And it was more so like those are my loved ones. Like the people who actually reached out to me, those are my friends.
Yeah.
Everybody else who said it, those are acquaintances. So, and it's just like social media, it makes us social, but it makes us antisocial at the same time.
Thanks.
Where you feel more comfortable typing somebody a message than actually like calling, hearing their voice, and telling them.
Which is the weirdest
This
thing.
is weird.
Man. Like, it's the weirdest thing because like I'm with you because I hate texting. Like I'm a terrible texter. Like I hate all of that just because it's like, bro, like the end of the day, this stuff is not authentic. Like
It's not.
it's a cool, quick hitter, but like
Uh-huh.
anything big like that, like nah, like hear your voice, let me see you, something. For this next video, we're going into kind of the places Jalen was in 2020, like how he learned some things that his dad might have taught him about, some good nuggets from him, and then where's he at right now?
That's a I would say that's a tough question. Is what can I be proud of myself with this year? Just I would say just staying strong. I was always very optimistic. I was always very optimistic throughout the year. I wouldn't I wouldn't let what was going on take down my happiness. That's I would say that is the easiest thing I felt like that happened to people this year was we let our situation bring us down, and there's just no need for that. And you know, I feel like that's such a simple thing to say is I was just happy. I was most proud about myself is I didn't let it affect me. I didn't let me feeling alone affect me whenever I left my house. I was never a Debbie Downer. I was always hyping people up. I was always getting hyped even though I didn't feel that way on the inside. So I would that's what I would say I would be most proud of is I stayed optimistic. One thing that my dad always told me that resonates to this day, and anybody who's my friends, they all know that a quote I preach nonstop is whenever I had a bad day growing up, whenever something just didn't go my way, I would always call my dad, and I feel like the world would be over, and he would always say, "The sun comes up tomorrow," and that really resonated with me, especially with this year. It doesn't matter how bad it got. It didn't matter what happened. Is the sun would always come up the next day.
Oh man. Why am I the way that I am?
We like that, but it was a great song, man.
Middle of
So we kind of already talked about what we're going to go into, but with going through the entire 2020, you're super proud of your optimism and whatnot. And one of the things you brought up was your dad saying, "The sun will come up tomorrow."
Yeah.
I mean, at the surface, like we all kind of know what that means. Like, how you use that like day to day work relationship.
Honestly, like I said, that is something I'm gonna end up getting tattooed on me because it's such a simple quote, but that has gotten me through sometimes. Like we talked about the reset button, that's all you really need. Everybody thinks you need, but we talked about how I got a week to reset. Sometimes all you need is a night's sleep to reset. And to the core, I feel like that's what my dad was talking about.
Yeah.
Take that night's sleep, reset. The sun's coming up tomorrow. Tomorrow's a new day. Are you going to let whatever happened the day prior mess you up the next day?
Mm.
And yes, in some situations, naturally, it's going to happen.
Mm.
It's, situations that's too big for you, it's going to drag you to the next day. But we get so tied up on like the little things that we never really, we feel like the world is over. But at the end of the day, tomorrow's going to come. Your neighbor's going to back out of their driveway.
Yeah.
The line for work is going to be long.
Yeah.
Your alarm's going to go off at the same time. So tomorrow's a fresh new day. Are you going to let what happened yesterday really drag on you when God has given you a fresh new template to work with?
Yeah, so this is something that you kind of use at the end of the day when you're feeling stressed out, like kind of something you say to yourself,
Tomorrow's
like,
a new day.
right in the moment. Does this happen to you too? Like you feel yourself getting frustrated?
When I feel myself getting frustrated, I will always say like the sun's coming up tomorrow, because something will happen to you. You're pushing up on a deadline. You're worried about the third, fourth order effects of this. You're like, my world is over.
Yeah,
but it's not.
Exactly.
The sun's coming up tomorrow.
That's what's up, man. That's so dope. Now, I'm kind of done with your video portion now. We're gonna just kind of jump right into this if you're cool with it.
Love it. Let's get it.
This is kind of your moment. Jalen's called action speak, I guess, if you will. So if you had a chance to kind of just speak some light into any men that's going through anxiety, depression, panic attacks, like just mental health issues overall, like what kind of words you speak to them?
Man, the biggest thing I will say is, you're not going through it alone. We naturally, as a man, you feel like you have to handle everything yourself. Where it's preached to us, if you ask for help, that's a sign of weakness. But that's not a sign of weakness. That's a sign of strength. And everybody says that. No, that's actually a sign of strength. When I was going through my mental check back in pilot training, the strongest thing I did was reach out for help. Because if I would not have done that, I would have quit.
Yeah.
I would have quit. I would have said, this is too much for me. But because I reached out for help, and not only I reached out for help one time, and that's where the guy kind of blew me off and said, get used to it. Naturally, that would make somebody just like, this is why I don't ask for help. This is why I don't ask for help. But something told me, like, you need to keep asking for help. You're going through time in your life where you need somebody, and having somebody say, like, I understand, and we're going to get you through this. They help you through this, do that. That was the strongest thing. Because sometimes it's okay not to be okay. It is okay not to be okay. It's preached to us how you always have to be the strong figure. You always have to make everything happen. We do that. We hold that close to us to our attention. We will run ourselves into a ground before we ask for help. When all hindsight, why is that healthy? That's not healthy whatsoever. That's why suicide rate in men is so high, because we feel like we'd rather run ourselves into the ground than show weakness. So, and it's just the toxic societal norm.
So as always, after breaking down kind of Jalen's call to action, and just asking me out, so for kind of going to Jalen's own mental check, and we start out with mentally, Jalen, like how are you doing right now, 1 to 10, and kind of explain why you gave yourself that.
No doubt. Mentally, I would give myself, I'm very content with where I'm at, so I'm going to give myself a solid 7 now. Solid. Yeah, I just bought my first property.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it. I have a beautiful girlfriend who I love very much. My sister is coming up on her final semester in PA school. My dad's retired. Just like everything, and plus we're on the boys' weekend right now, so everything is good. I would say it's a 7. because I just got picked up to upgrade. It worked, and I got hurt while I was over deployed, so I'm to NIF right now. So naturally,
What's the nickname?
duties not including flying. So when you're a dog, you kind of like get after it every day. It's like coach saying like, "Hey, man, we're gonna put you on the side." It's just like, but I can play.
Yeah.
It's like we don't want you to play. So, just as one of the few African Americans in my career field, anytime I see myself getting benched, I see them as saying, "Oh, like you're not good enough. We're gonna sit you down right now." When in my mind, I want to keep going. When I know I need to get healthy again. So naturally, that has weighed on me a lot because I see my peers, like my peers are continuing to fly, continuing to get better, and I'm just sitting there. So that did a little mental hit to me. So that's why I put myself at a 7 now.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel like that's so easy for us to fall into the competition of it all, right?
Yeah.
It's like when everyone's still going, we have to take the pause. But just on that, like, I just like to encourage you, like, always, like, make sure you're running it yourself. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like being the best you,
Mhm.
and like just to kind of Joshua said in the Bible, like. I know that person doing this person doing this, but that's me and my household. Like, we will serve the Lord. That's for me. And you can turn that into anything.
Yeah,
For me
absolutely.
and my household, like, I gotta get healthy right now. And so,
Exactly.
yeah, so that's good though, man. So mentally out of 7, that's good to hear, and it's good to see that you're in a good place, man. How are you doing emotionally?
Emotionally, man. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would always say I'd say I'm a solid 9, man. Solid 9. I don't believe anybody's perfect. That's why I can't put 10. But yeah, 9. One thing that I said in my past video, I'm optimistic. I'm always optimistic. So I'm very well at reading situations and how they're going. So when I find myself getting irritated, I take a step back and it's just like, Jalen, all you had this morning was a coffee and a Pop Tart.
Yeah.
Your blood sugar is low, so you're not actually angry.
Yeah.
You're just irritated. You need something to eat. So I will settle myself, and I know how to control myself. And also, if I am working with somebody or working along somebody, and they're getting riled up, they're getting angry. I'm the level-headed person because I'm not angry,
Yeah.
so I'm not gonna let their anger rub off on me.
Well,
And will they get upset because they don't feel myself getting riled up? They're like, why aren't you getting riled up? It just gets them more riled up.
mhm.
And it's just, I know, why am I going to get mad if they're mad? They have something going on in their life that's making them mad. So I just need to double down and just kind of be the rock. Because multiple times people have gotten mad at me and I kind of stayed just monotone. I stayed the same way. If anything, I turn more optimistic when they get angry. And the next day they'll come back and they'll just be like, man, I'm sorry. Like you didn't deserve any of that. I appreciate you, you know, not, not bringing my anger up even more. And in a sense, you brought my anger up more because you weren't angry, but it was for the best.
Yeah.
It was for the best because two heads clashing isn't going to do anything. So I'm super tapped in the emotional way. So I give myself a solid 9.
So emotionally out of 9, that's super dope to hear, especially just being so strong in that, because that's just the part that gets neglected a lot. Where are you doing spiritually?
Spiritually, man, I'd give myself another 7, man.
Okay.
Spiritually, I would give myself another 7. And my faith, I am tapped in with my faith. It's more so the physical aspect of spiritually that I can work on. I'm trying to knock out a lot of just the empty, just the empty time in my life. I love playing video games. I love watching TV, and as I'm getting older, I'm starting to realize, okay, I can utilize that time more. So I actually started picking up books a lot more. Actually joined a little book club at work. Yeah, I actually got a Kindle. I don't know. on Kindle. Maybe that'll help me.
Yeah.
Just now when I'm driving into work, instead of just listening to, whatever is on my playlist, I'm actually listening to audiobooks.
Okay.
So just spiritually growing myself, I'm in the early phases.
Mhm.
I'm in the early phases of that.
So sad.
Yeah, so I can definitely tell I'm behind the power curve when it comes to that.
Mhm.
But I mean, everything needs to start at that point.
Yeah, gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
Good to pick it up.
hmm
Okay. What about physically? How you feeling?
Physically, I'm feeling great, man. Like I said, I got a little hurt back on deployment, so I had to stop working out. But now that I'm back stateside and I have my surgery date set, I started getting back in the gym, started eating right again. So I'm feeling really good with that. I give myself a 8 in the physical aspect. I got a coach. I'm cutting down from not working out for about 3 months and eating all good Asian food, my man. Yeah, physically it's good, man. We're running, we're working out. Like I said, I bought a space. I bought my own property. I have a garage, so I actually bought a garage gym.
Mhm.
So now I have zero excuse to why I cannot take care of my body. Your body has to be your temple. You only get one of them, so you need to take care of it. So I've been eating right, man. The workouts have been going good. So physically, I'm feeling good.
That's what's up. Dog, I'm so glad I got a chance to have you on this.
Appreciate it.
This last piece is just for me to you. From meeting you during pilot training, just kind of growing with each other out there, and then kind of seeing the hard time you were at. I had hard times as well,
Yeah.
and being there for each other, like. That was something that will always be super appreciated on my side, and will always be something that I hold near and dear to my heart. And but you going through that and coming out on the other side like you were, how certain you were, and now living a part of your dream, like that's super dope. I think it speaks a ton to kind of who you are, not only in the workplace, but even just anyone you come around with, like your life and situation, you're around like people love and adore you, man. So I just wanted to go ahead and give you a flower and just talk about how appreciative I'm and happy as a friend.
Man, I appreciate that.
Glad you came on the show today, man.
I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you throwing on this project. Yeah. You came at me with the dream, and most people, whenever they have an idea like this, you listen to them, you're just like, okay, and then that's it. But you actually, man, you have taken the right steps. You have tried. You have went the different trails. And when something doesn't work out, you're just not like, this is over. You actually find a new way. So this is a new iteration of what we started about a year ago, man. And just looking at the setup, man, this is amazing. So you're actually putting in the time.
I appreciate it. It's been great, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Episode number 4.
Time to watch them Eagles get smacked.
Yeah.